What is up, you guys? Welcome back to Box Office Buckets. This is my first ever video on the internet, so bear with me on that. I know the editing to this is not going to be great. I'm hoping it looks better each time. We'll find out. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. We'll see. I'm really hoping to expand though. But yeah. So I've got some topics to talk about today. We've got NFL, NBA, college football, movies, and TV. I'm hoping to get through them all. I talk about a lot. Kind of narrowed it down to some big points here. Try to keep the video not too long, but not too short. I'm trying to really talk about stuff. So let's just start off with we got the NFL here. So the first big thing I want to talk about is the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions. The Green Bay Packers ended up beating the Lions, I think about 26-13, I do believe it was. And I don't think I'm not pressing the panic button on the Lions yet, but I definitely think that if you're in that organization, you want to know where that button is right now because they looked rough Sunday. I mean, they looked to me desensitized. Like, I expected to see them on the sidelines like 1,000-yard stare. They did not look like the team they were a year ago. And they're still, they're a very talented team. Don't get me wrong. Jared Goff, Gibbs and Demo, Amon-Ra, James Williams, Sam Laporte. Offensively, they're a great team. I mean, they have the talent. They have the guys. Defensively, I think they still have some solid players. But I think losing Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn is kind of coming back to hurt them a lot more than maybe they expected. I definitely think it could be a learning curve, something they got to get used to this new system, work through these kind of things, and they'll be okay. They'll come out the other side. They're still, like I said, very good team. And I also think, the Packers look really good. I mean, if Jordan Love can clean it up, if Micah Parsons can be the impactful guy that he was in Dallas, in Green Bay, they're going to be a really formidable team. And I think the NFC North is just still stacked. I think they have 4 teams that could very well make the playoffs, or at least be in the hunt. Even the Bears, I expect to be in the playoff hunt. So we'll see where that goes. It's a long road, but I think the Lions I'm keeping my eye on them because I think they could turn it around. They could win a bunch of games, make this look silly. Don't get me wrong, but it's something to think about. It's something to kind of process, especially if you're a fan. You're sitting back and there's a little alarms. Not a lot, a little bit. The next big thing I want to talk about is the Jets and Steelers. Kind of a quarterback swap, right? Justin Fields was 4-2 with the Steelers, got benched for Russell Wilson. Aaron Rodgers comes from the Jets but for the first time to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Big game. I mean, touchdowns galore, high-scoring shootout, which was interesting because 2 teams with pretty solid defenses, especially Pittsburgh has a very good defense. I was surprised, but it was a heck of a game. I felt like Aaron Rodgers was playing, which is interesting at his age, but he was playing with something to prove. He was playing to say, I still deserve to be here, and I think he wanted to make a statement in that game because it's just like when you watch somebody play and there's good play, there's great play, and sometimes you're just watching a quarterback will his team to victory. And the older they get, they can't do it as much. It's not as easy. But I watched him and he had this look, the way he played, the way he carried himself. He willed the Pittsburgh Steelers to victory. He wanted that bad, which really says something about his competitive spirit. Being at the age he is, he's got the MVPs, he's got the Super Bowls, he's got the accolades. He's just playing for the love of the game. And to come out there and to really have that effort, that intensity, I think really says something about where the Steelers can go this season. Probably 10-7, 9-8, somewhere in there. But if he plays like that every game, and will he? That's another question. Is he going to keep up that intensity? Because there's bad blood, of course, with the Jets. So we'll see where that goes. And I think the Jets played very well. Justin Fields looked really good. I think if they can keep it up and keep him kind of measured, they're going to be a solid team this year. I'm not going to say great team, but I think they can be a very solid team. Find out about that one. A couple of sleeper picks I want to talk about. The Arizona Cardinals and the Jacksonville Jaguars. They both had pretty disappointing years last year. They both have, I think Kyler Murray was 2019, Trevor Lawrence was 2020. Both first overall pick QBs who started off well, have kind of disappointed as they've gone through their careers. But those are both teams that, I think people are kind of sleeping on. People are expecting them to be bad. I think they're going to be pretty solid. I think, when you look at the Jaguars, they bring in Liam Cohen from the Bucks. Brian Thomas Jr., obviously Trevor Lawrence improved. They have Travis Hunter in the draft. I'm expecting them to be much improved, to look a lot better. To say that they'll make the playoffs, I don't know. I expect them to be in the hunt. I expect them to exceed people's expectations. What that means, I really don't know yet. But that's a team I want to watch, and the Arizona Cardinals are a team to keep my eye on. They've got a much improved Kyler Murray looking good. Not that he ever really looked terrible, but they were just kind of disappointing the past couple years. Mediocre is probably a better word. But, I expect Marvin Harrison Jr. to be a lot better. It's really interesting to have a receiver that has like 800 yards and basically the same as his dad's rookie year, and people just say, oh, he's a bust, he sucks. No, he had he did not live up to the hype. He still had a very good first year. I expect a much improved second year. James Conner. They got Will Johnson in the draft. I think late first, early second, which was really surprising because a lot of mock drafts had Will Johnson going top 5, top 10, one of the best cornerbacks out of Michigan. That was very surprising to see him go that late. So if he can live up to that hype, that's just an even bigger piece of their defense. They always have Trey McBride, fantasy league winning tight end. Very exciting stuff, really. But I don't know that these two are going to make the playoffs, like I said, but they're teams I'm keeping my eye on. They're teams I'm watching. I'm saying, you might have something cool there. It's very interesting. I have written down here Danny Dimes. The Indianapolis Colts beat the Miami Dolphins 33-6. That was not something I would have predicted going into this week. I did not see that coming at all. Daniel Jones has been under a lot of scrutiny the past couple years. He's not been great. I'm not, but there's a meme that people share, and it's the worst NFL quarterback, and a lot of them are, the worst traits of different players. And, there's always a joke. It's like, Daniel Jones it's all just him. It's basically saying he's a terrible quarterback. But, when you watch him play, you really see a different story. Daniel Jones is a very physically talented quarterback. He can do it all. He can throw, run. It's all there. The talent, the ability, it's all there. It's up here that gets him. It's the mentals. It's the throwing picks. It's the just stupid decisions. It's the just not stop throwing picks when it matters. And that's what really gets fans on you, because especially on teams with good defenses, if you can go out there and just not be a dumbass, you're going to be okay. The Pittsburgh Steelers have been instituting, since Big Ben left, they've been bringing in all these different quarterbacks and have had success because they went out there, they did their job, and they didn't throw 8 million interceptions. They didn't throw 8 million touchdowns, but they didn't throw 8 million interceptions. But, I think the Colts have a solid roster. Obviously, Shane Steichen, head coach, and I really think when I look at that team, if he goes out there and makes good decisions, he won a playoff game. People forget that. Beat the Minnesota Vikings a few years back. He goes out there and plays like that again. Who knows? Who knows what could happen with the Colts? They're not in a great division. They're going to have an opportunity to look at the playoffs and say, we could do that. Now, this is 1 week, 1 game. Could be a fluke. It could not matter. He could be the Daniel Jones we remember from the Giants next week. All right. I'm not saying he's going to win the MVP, but I'm saying he looks okay. We'll see if he keeps it up. Find out about that. Sunday night, we had a potential game of the year. The Ravens and Bills. One of the biggest comebacks I've seen in the NFL. One of the more shocking, I guess, will be a better term. I think there is 4 minutes left. Ravens are up 40-25. You think it's over. And, sometimes a team needs everything to go right. They need this to go right, this to go right. the Buffalo Bills, everything went right for them. And, kind of like what I was talking about with Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen went out there and just would not let them lose. He was going to win that. He was in that space mentally to not let them lose that game. And I respected that. I mean, he looked really good. I mean, best player or MVP, right? Not surprising, but to see them come back in the way they did, it was incredible. And if you're the Ravens, I don't. It's not the end of the world. You're gonna lose a game every now and again, but it seems like this is becoming an identity for them, having the better roster, the better team, the arguably better coaching, the some would say better quarterback, having a lead and just blowing it and just not winning those big games. I've seen a lot of people talk about the Bills lose to the Chiefs, but the Bills can win the big games. It's literally just the Chiefs. If they did not play Kansas City every year, they would have probably multiple Super Bowl, at least appearances. The Ravens, what are you doing? I mean, they have the talent, they have the offense, the defense, they have everything there is nothing you can do to that roster to make them that much better because they are that good. They just have to go out there and perform. And they have the talent. They could go out and win a Super Bowl this year. I think they could have last year, the year before. But every year it's the same story. It's just like they lose. They lose. I don't know if they lose focus. I don't know what goes on. But they are not living up to the expectation that should be with their team. I had to get a little refresher. And then obviously Monday night we had a really great matchup between the Bears and the Vikings. And, there was a point in the third quarter where I was sitting there thinking, J.J. McCarthy sucks. They should have kept Sam Darnold. That was a mistake. But at the end of the game, I'm all in on the McCarthy train. He's great. He's amazing. It's funny how that changes. 20 minutes of game time, he goes from a bust to... Can he win Rookie of the Year? If he can win Rookie of the Year, definitely a candidate. I know in the NBA you can. I don't know if NFL. But, Chicago's kind of like Baltimore. They're doing their same old thing. They had a lead. They played well. They blew it. That's who they are. But I think Caleb Williams looks good. I think he got a lot of hate last year that he didn't deserve. Comes in with all his expectations. Has a very solid season behind an awful O-line. And, I expect him to have a much better year under Ben Johnson. But, I think that organization just has to fix itself somehow. It's like they keep making weird decisions that don't make sense to me. You bring in one of the best quarterbacks in how many years in Caleb Williams. Instead of firing your defensive-minded head coach, you think, yeah, let's run it a year. Then you fire him into Caleb's rookie year. They're just making a lot of stuff that, to me, doesn't make sense. But then again, I don't know an NFL team. I don't know any team. I'm just some dude making videos on the internet and hopefully posting them, I think, on YouTube. So who cares what I think? But I'm just saying, if you want advice, I got a few tips. Got some really good matchups coming up this weekend, namely Thursday, Commanders and Packers, Lambeau. It's going to be a really good matchup. Two really good teams. Big Commanders fan here, expecting a big victory, but we'll find out. Green Bay kind of scares me a little bit. They look good, both sides of the ball, like I said earlier. Start with the Packers, end with the Packers, right? But that's about all I have for NFL. So let's go back to college. Let's move it back and go back to this past weekend in college football. I looked at the schedule when it was coming up, and I looked through the games, and I thought, there's a couple good ones. Michigan and Oklahoma is obviously a big matchup, but I didn't think there's going to be that many great games. I was wrong. There's a lot of really good games, a lot of games that really surprised me. Some rivalries, obviously Iowa State, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri. A lot of really great games, though. So, let's start off with Kansas and Missouri while we're on that topic. I did not know that was as big of a rivalry as it was. Obviously, haven't played since 2011, but it was brought up a lot during that game about those two teams do not like each other. And I respect that. I mean, that's what makes sports fun, rivalries. It makes it interesting. It's why we watch the game sometimes. But that was a really great game. Missouri ended up winning. But both teams, I think, played very well. I think, you know, you can hold your head high, and I'm going to be really interested in what both those teams do. I think Missouri has kind of had some expectations the past couple of seasons, not lived up to them. They don't really seem to have those expectations this year. Perhaps they overperform when they're expected to underperform. The irony, right? And I think Kansas, you know, historically not a great football school, but they've been really solid the past couple of years. Jalen Daniels, 6th year. I really expect them to be a solid team in the Big 12, a big foe for a lot of teams. A couple of big upsets. Ohio, not State, Ohio University, I guess is what they're called, beat the West Virginia Mountaineers. That is a pretty rough defeat for the Mountaineers, bringing in first-year head coach Rich Rodriguez. Not a fan. I'm from West Virginia. Not a fan of his, but you know, that's a pretty big defeat. I think week 2 into that tenure, going in there and having that happen is not preferable if you're the Mountaineers, losing to a team like Ohio. They played well, that looked solid as a good team, but still, you don't want to lose to those games, especially going into Pitt next weekend. Very solid Pitt team. It's not the confidence boost that you want. And probably an even bigger upset was USF beating the Florida Gators. USF has looked good. They beat Boise State into the dirt. I mean, they whooped Boise State. They looked very good in that game. I have a lot of, I think everyone had a lot of expectations on the Florida Gators. They've disappointed the past couple years, but this was supposed to be their year. This was the year, you know, a lot of teams would have fired Billy Napier. I'm just going to be honest. A lot of teams would have fired him. They said, no, we're going to keep our guy. We're going to run steady. They have DJ Lagway. They have a very, very good team. A lot of expectations to compete in the SEC, to be good, and to go in and lose to state rival USF is a terrible look for them. It is a terrible look. And, you know, I would never advocate for someone to lose their job. But if you were in that organization, you got to start looking at a new coach. I mean, maybe, and listen, Notre Dame last year lost to NIU week 2, made the college football championship. 12 team, first 12 team, they made the championship. So to sit and say to you that they could not make, you know, a playoff run, they absolutely can. But you don't want to start off this way. Starting off losing to a non-Power 4 school, even if it is a rivalry, is not how you want to start that off. I expect them to rebound. I expect them to be better. I also expected them to beat USF. We'll see. Here's another one. I posted this on social medias earlier. Check us out. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Rocco Becht and the Iowa State Hawkeyes went in and beat Iowa, the Cyhawk, right? In-state rivalry. 16-13, I think it was. You know, Rocco Becht he was really good last year. They were 11-3 total, made the Big 12 championship, won their bowl game. They're against, I think, Miami. Cam Ward, because he left in the first half. But he has looked really good this year. 7 total touchdowns, I think, 6 passing, 0 interceptions. He's 3-0. He's played Kansas State and Iowa in their first 3 games. He has looked great. He looked great last year, too. And, you know, I pretty much asked the question, what is stopping him from winning the Heisman? If he keeps it up, if they are undefeated, 1 loss, make the playoff, keeps up those great stats he's been putting up, what is to stop him? And I've seen a lot of good reasons, you know, competition in the Big 12, maybe not as good as Big 10 and SEC, a lot of great candidates. People are really into John Mateer, Oklahoma, I'm going to talk about here in a minute. All valid points. I respect it. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm keeping my eye on him, man. You want a sleeper pick for Heisman? Rocco Becht. This kid can throw the football. He's poised, calm, collected, and most importantly, he's confident. I say in anything in life, you do it with confidence, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be successful. So we'll find out. But I think he's looked really good. And then, of course, late night, we had Michigan and Oklahoma. Pretty hyped up matchup. John Mateer and the Oklahoma Sooners taking on the Michigan Wolverines. It's a very Bryce Underwood. I was missing his name there for a second. two very solid teams. I felt like Oklahoma just kind of outplayed them. I still think Bryce Underwood looked good. Obviously, number one recruit. But it'll take time. Everything in life takes time. No, this is the thing with Arch Manning, right? You hype them up, they're going to struggle. You got to learn it. They will get better. All right, it's the same thing in the NFL. The best college quarterbacks go to the NFL. They suck for a few weeks, and then some of them start to click. It starts to get put together. I did not think Michigan looked awful. It's not like they got blew out. They just got outbeat a little bit. I think Oklahoma's just a little bit of a better team. Oklahoma's looking to be a very good team, a playoff contender, and I think Michigan is probably a solid bowl team. 8-4, 9-3, which I know is disappointing. You won the national championship. I could be wrong. They could win a bunch of games and make it in, but I just kind of felt like Oklahoma was a little bit better than they were. But a very good game. Michigan had their chances, and I felt like they didn't take advantage. But that's one game. Like I keep saying, you're not winning, losing the season in one game. Okay, it's a whole season, 12 games, 13 if you make the conference championship. So this upcoming week, got a lot of great matchups. I'm not going to go through them all just for time constraints, but the one that I'm really interested in is Vanderbilt and South Carolina. Going into this season, I have a ton of respect and hype on the South Carolina Gamecocks. Lenore Sellers, I think they have a great team. Dylan Stewart, one of my favorite college football 26 players. He is incredible. But just watching them play, I really expected a lot from them. I felt like last year they were close to the college football playoff. They really ended the season well. Shane Beamer, obviously, fun head coach. I kind of expected them to be a little bit better. I think they struggled a little bit against Virginia Tech. I think I expected more from South Carolina. But at the end of the day, good teams are not good teams because they win by a lot. They're good because they win, right? You win by 1, you win by 100. Still a win. You lose by 1, lose by 100, it's still a loss. So they're still 2-0. I wouldn't be too worried. And, they could very certainly, very easily put it together, figure it out, do what they need to do, and be a very competitive team, definitely be in the hunt for the college football playoff. But they're playing Vanderbilt, a Vanderbilt team that dominated Virginia Tech, that South Carolina struggled against. A Vanderbilt team that's bringing back Diego Pavia from last year, had a very good year, beat Alabama. All right, how often is Vanderbilt looked at this way? Dare I say it's their year? All right, we're going to find out what Vanderbilt can really do as an organization. We'll see if they're built like that, and we'll see if they make a playoff push. I doubt it. I mean, I'm not throwing that out there, but who knows, right? 12 teams. They could go out Saturday and prove that they belong. This is a great opportunity for them because you knock off South Carolina, people start to look up at you. Obviously, they beat Alabama. They're a solid team. But, questions. All right. So, let's finish up the sports news for the day with the NBA. A big recent conundrum that's come out is the Kawhi Leonard situation with the Los Angeles Clippers, that apparently to avoid going over the salary cap was paying him through some type of charity, some tree planting thing that does not exist. Apparently 29, I think 30 million maybe it was. And it's being investigated, supposedly. It's kind of a big thing. It's come out recently. A lot of outlets have been covering it. We'll see where that goes. Personally, I think they need to bring the hammer down. I think Adam Silver has kind of developed a reputation for being soft. And my biggest thing is, if they do their usual, 5 games of suspension and, we're going to freeze a second round pick in 2067, 67, other teams are going to start doing this if they're not already. I think you bring the hammer down here and you show other teams why the salary cap matters. I don't like the salary cap. I think it's stupid, but if you're going to do it, it needs to be done right. You don't need teams paying extra under the table. You don't need that kind of stuff going on because it undermines the integrity of the league and it monopolizes the power, especially when these teams are struggling to stay under the salary cap. I mean, it is a big deal. And I think letting them get by with this, you just can't do it. And I also think, listen, ideally it shouldn't be this way, but let's be honest. If you were a big money team, right? You're Boston, you're LA, you're one of these big time teams. If you're the NBA, you're looking, well, we don't want to punish them too bad and lose viewers and lose fans, right? How many fans are Lakers or Celtics fan? Lakers fan, right? You don't want to lose those fans. It's the Clippers. How many fans are you really losing? Now, they have fans, don't get me wrong. Fun team, fun fans. I'm not hating, but I'm just saying, you bring the hammer down here and you set the precedent that this is not allowed, that you cannot do this. I'm not one for, let's just sit and look at the past, but David Stern would not have let this shit slide, okay? I'm just saying. It's true. So I think if you are Adam Silver, bring the hammer down. That's just my advice. Like I said, no qualifications here. And in the EuroLeague, Luka Doncic won the best defensive player. How that's even possible, I don't know. Luka is probably, other than LeBron, my favorite player in the league right now. Not always a great defender, but he's always had the capability of being a great defender. But I feel like I don't want to say to overweight, but I want to say he runs out of energy. He's giving so much offensively. It's hard to compete. I mean, even at that level, it's a lot to ask because he's playing a lot of minutes every night, especially in Dallas before he came to LA. And, but, he's slimmed down. He's got a lot healthier. I'm expecting a big year. I'm expecting MVP candidate easily. I think especially if he's playing if he plays good defense, they have no reason, because offensively, I think he's as good as Jokic is. He's as good as Shea is. The only thing Shea has on him is defense. The only thing Jokic has on him is he's played with better players. I mean, let's just be honest. But I'm expecting him, and I'm expecting Giannis. Giannis is another sleeper pick for MVP. I think their team's not great, but I think it's solid. Gary Trent Jr., Kuzma, Bobby Portis, they have a lot of guys that if they step up and play and do their role, they could be very solid defensively. They could be a very solid defensive team. And I think Giannis is going to get 50 million touches a game, put up monster stats. If they can be a good team in a wide open East, I'm looking at Giannis as a potential. And another sleeper pick, I was thinking about this the other day. If Joel Embiid comes out and plays 70 games, and who's to say he will, why can't he win it? All right, that's just a sleeper pick, right? It's not expected, but there's so many players that if they come out and are healthy and play to their best, the MVP pool has been in the past couple of years some of the biggest we've seen. So many great players snubbed, can't win it. It's one winner, and I'm gonna be really interested this year in who comes out on top. Embiid was an untouchable player a couple years ago, and now you wonder if they could even trade him, right? What if he comes out, does his thing, plays the 65-game minimum? What's to stop him? He is, obviously a very talented player, but there's injuries. That's what's to stop it, if you want to say that. But very interested in what's going to happen there. So I think that's all I pretty much have for sports news. That's all you're here for. Appreciate it. But if you want to stick around, I keep dropping this pin. If you want to stick around for this movie and TV news, got some really cool stuff to talk about. So yeah, let's jump right into that. So as far as movie news, we had one of the biggest films of the year come out last weekend in The Conjuring: The Last Rites. I have not seen it. I need to see it. I've heard it's really good. Made $194 million in its opening weekend. That is the biggest opening for a horror film ever, right? It beat It, which apparently is now called It Chapter 1, which I understand with the two parts, but past that to be the #1 grossing horror movie opening weekend of all time. I mean, that is incredible. One of my favorite franchises. The original is quite possibly my favorite movie of all time. I think it's amazing. I'm so happy to see them go out on a high note. Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga, amazing actors, amazing chemistry, play those roles to perfection. I cannot wait to get my eyes on it, to see it, hopefully do a little review. And but I really think it's so amazing that moviegoers went out to theaters and really shown that they're interested. I've heard that there's a prequel series and I think another movie. on the way. Obviously, this is supposed to wrap up the Warren storyline, but there's still a lot to explore in that universe, and I look forward to seeing what they do. I hope it doesn't become a cash grab. This made a bunch of money, let's make 10 more. I really hope that they keep up the quality and really focus on what fans like. The thing that to me makes the Conjuring films, some of that franchises up and down, a cash cow every film, but quality up and down. But I think especially the original Conjuring movie, it's not just about the scares. People aren't just going to be scared. It's about the themes, the messages, the family, right? I've always said it's a movie about family. And I think if they lean into that concept of something that, all right, Mike Flanagan does really great, right? Haunting of Hill House, Bly Manor, Midnight Mass, made so many great shows. I'm forgetting half of them. But, you know, he makes really great stuff because he makes stories, right? It's about a family. It's about grief. It's about loss. And also just makes them really freaking scary. They are terrifying. So when you have that combination of not just, oh, we're super scary, or oh, we're super dramatic, when you can combine that, you get some real magic. And I think if they lean into that as a franchise, there's so many stories that they can explore and that they can really talk about and push into the future. So yeah, it's really exciting stuff. Really happy to see that. Caught Stealing is still in theaters. Austin Butler, I really want to see that. I think it looks cool. Underperformed a little bit the box office, but could be a very solid film. I think, you know, let's go the opposite note of The Conjuring, right? A lot of films struggled their opening weekend, but some of them built some legs over time. Everything is declared a bust or a success after 1 week, but give it a little bit of time, you never know. You know, some things look worse, some things look better. I expect The Conjuring to look pretty good over the coming weeks. I think it's the cultural phenomenon, and like I said, that franchise just breaks in money. The Nun, Curse of La Llorona, even some of the lesser reviewed films, I think they're good. I mean, I don't dislike a lot of movies, but even some of the lesser viewed films still bring in the cash. That series is insane. It brings in money like you can't even imagine. So I expect it to get some legs and keep it up. But next weekend we have a couple of movies I'm really excited about, namely The Long Walk, Stephen King adaptation. I am very excited for this movie. It follows a group of young people who are put in a contest that maintain a speed of 3 miles an hour. Changed it from 4 in the novel, and as somebody who likes to go on walks, that makes sense. 4 miles sucks. It's somewhere weird. It's too fast to walk, too slow to run, in my opinion. Maybe I'm just slow, but I think 3 miles an hour is a good choice. To get back to the point, though. And there's no finish line. There's only one winner, and if you stop walking, you don't get back up, if you know what I mean. I'm very excited for this. I've heard great things. Stephen King's just a genius, right? Master of horror. And I'm so excited to see this. I think a lot of people are. I'm expecting it to be another big weekend. I really hope people go out and support this film. I think if they're interested, please go out, buy a ticket, go see it, support your theaters, support filmmakers. You know, an original idea. I think, you know, I always see people say, we want more original movies. Well, you have to put your money where your mouth is. If you want these things to happen, you have to go out and support theaters. Support these original films, and that will help get more original films made. But, you know, who knows? But I'm expecting it to be successful. And if you're looking for something a little more family-friendly, Downton Abbey, the grand finale, is coming out this weekend. You could do a double feature, right? Go scary, go fun, you know, do a little something like that. But if you're looking for something more family-friendly, it's a really good option. It's a very popular series. Have a couple of other movies. I think they're on Peacock. I might be wrong. Don't hold me to that. But I'm expecting them to be. But I think it'll be pretty successful. I think a lot of families will like to go out and see it, and I think it'll be a pretty cool movie. A lot of cool stuff to go see. But all right, let's get to our last segment of the day. TV. So much great TV has come out recently. So many great shows out. I've had to compartmentalize this list. There's going to be shows that I haven't covered just because there's so many good ones out. But Dexter Resurrection wrapped up season 1, more like season 11, but season 1 of the series itself, it was amazing. I loved it. I felt like it wrapped up. The season itself is just amazing. In my opinion, 10 of 10, brings back Dexter, brings back Harrison, brings back Angel. It is an amazing show. Watch it if you like Dexter. And if you don't like Dexter, watch the original show and learn to like it. It is a great series. It is definitely well worth watching. A little bit of spoilers for the finale, so if you don't want to hear that, skip ahead. But there's a scene throughout the series, Detective Claudette Wallace, they always keep playing the Bee Gees' Staying Alive. And it's funny at first, and then it kind of gets annoying. It's like, okay, we get it. She likes the song. It's funny, okay. And I'm like, what does all this build to? Like, why are we doing this? There's a scene at the end, because she's very kind of socially, she's not into people, really. She's leaving the dance at Prater's Hall. The song comes on, and they do this amazing choreographed dance. It looks incredible. And I sat back and I was thinking about that scene. Dexter is upstairs murdering a target 2 stories above. The city's, New York City's head detective and all the cops are 2 rows down dancing to Staying Alive while he is upstairs murdering a victim. That is Dexter. That is Dexter at its heart, at its core. It's funny, it's sharp, it's murderous. It is amazing. Go watch it. It's awesome. End of spoilers for that one. So if you're looking to avoid some spoilers, you're in this safe zone. I wanted to say danger zone there. But Peacemaker brought out, I do believe it was episode 3, bringing back Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag Jr. That's kind of weird now. But very popular show. I have not yet caught up on it, but I've heard a lot of really good things. It's really interesting to see how James Gunn is expanding this DCU and bringing back, all of these characters and seeing how they interact. It's really good stuff. And I think where we have Superman came out this past summer as kind of a global film, to have something like Peacemaker be a little more boots on the ground, if you will, I think is a really great way to explore and expand the universe and to really look at it through those terms and see what's going on with these characters. Alien Earth is another one. I haven't caught up on it. I want to see it. That's a recurring theme. I don't watch things, apparently. I do believe it's episode 6 or 7. It's getting close to wrapping up somewhat soon. But I've heard amazing things. Timothy Olyphant is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated actors out there. He kills every role, and, he seems to have been great in that show. I've heard nothing but great things. Noah Hawley of Fargo is creating it. I knew as soon as he was attached. Fascinating guy. Fascinating to put him in the Alien universe and see what we get. And, I think Alien was kind of hit or miss there for a little while, but I think they have Romulus last year, which I loved. Alien Earth this year. Obviously had Prey, Predator, Killer of Killers. We have Predator Badlands coming up soon. That franchise, those 2 franchises that sometimes intermingle, they're looking great. I cannot wait to see what comes next with those franchises. We also had Wednesday Season 2 Part 2 come out last Wednesday. I have my Wednesday shirt on now. I try to wear it every Wednesday, right? But really interested to see how that ends. I thought the first season was Part 1 was solid. I was really interested to see where Part 2 goes. I felt like Part 1 felt like its own season, so I was interested in how Part 2 is going to build on that. I still have to watch it. Keep up with the theme, right? But I think it's going to be really cool. I'm excited to see where it goes. Jenna Ortega is just amazing. I think she is one of the best actresses out there in Hollywood. She is amazing. Kills every role. Kills this role, especially. And I just cannot wait to see what they cook up. Season 3 has been renewed already. Really excited to see where it sends off, where it goes. But it's just really interesting stuff. I'm really, really excited to see where this series goes in the future, and hopefully not 3 years in between the next season, please. That would be great. But that's about all I have. I shorted the movies and TV a little bit. I gotta add a little bit next time. But yeah, if you stuck around this long, I appreciate it. Like I said, this is my first time. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to edit. This is just me talking about, so I am unqualified. I did not play any of these sports. I did not make any of these movies. I have no qualifications whatsoever. But I'm just a guy on the internet talking about stuff, trying to make you laugh and trying to inform you a little bit. And if we do one of those things, awesome. And, let us know what you like in the comments, what you don't like in the comments. If you think it sucks, just say it sucks, Say what you think, I don't care. But if you stuck around this long, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the watch. Like I've said, we're going to get better. The editing's going to be better. The content's going to be better. And I hope this has helped. I hope this has been fun. Be kind. Do something kind for somebody. If you get the chance, just do something nice. And yeah, peace. I will see you guys soon. Keep an eye out.